Hey, welcome back everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Frazier. You're overlooking from downtown Odessa out toward Big Spring. And well, it looks rather terrifying. Rightfully so. We got a very strong, rapidly developing, rapidly intensifying severe warning storm just to the north of Stanton. It's not making a whole lot of movement right now, but of course that entire situation is constantly changing. Just within the last 20 minutes, it went from nothing to severe warn to now life-threatening situation. It doesn't look like much. It looks just like a very tall storm, but the atmosphere is primed. We got temperatures in those low to mid 90s. You got dew points right around that mid 60 degree range. This is the perfect setup to see some very strong, very long living severe warn storms, especially because we got a cold front kind of sitting right on top of us. Here's those dew points. You got very dry air just out to our far west, and that air, well, you're not going to see any kind of storms in that. Storms need heat and they need moisture. We got a lot of heat, we got a lot of moisture. So unfortunately, it looks to be almost a perfect setup for some very, very active weather. Just within the last 10 minutes, National Weather Service went ahead and issued a severe thunderstorm watch. This is going to stay in effect, of course, until 11 o'clock, or not 11 o'clock, I'm sorry, 2 a.m. I know, I'm used to these staying in effect until about 11 o'clock. Not so much the case. These are going to be very late developing storms just within this area. That's going to impact about 400,000 people. We could see some pretty strong storms within it. Let's see the latest from National Weather Service. It's going to include a number of cities. Let's see, Andrews, Artesia, Big Lake. Okay, it doesn't specify what the big threats are going to be, but I'm going to go ahead and break those down for you in just a moment. All right, here's what I'm looking at in terms of active radar, and it is rather inactive. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on. And that's because there isn't. A lot of these storms were expected to develop quite late into the afternoon and evening, like right now, and then maintain strength throughout about midnight to about 1 a.m. before moving entirely out of the region. Here are those two storms. I'm looking at them kind of surrounding Big Spring. And Big Spring, you guys have just dealt with a very large-scale severe storm from yesterday and are already trying to do recovery efforts and repair from how big that hail was. On top of it, it turns out to be an actual microburst with the latest data from the National Weather Service with their report from about an hour ago pushed out 119 mile per hour winds. Now, I'm just looking at the severe thunderstorm warning right now. Latest on this warning, just sitting right here south of Lenora. Here is the latest from National Weather Service. I'm going to actually move the map a little bit so we could see this just a touch better. All right, latest information for Lenora and Stanton. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7:45. Let's go ahead and pause this as well. It's going to affect about 3,500 to 3,600 people. They're saying it's destructive. Why is it destructive? Destructive because we're looking at baseball-sized hail, so about 2.75 inch in diameter, if not just a little bit bigger than that, maybe closer to about 3 inches. So not going to be very good. 70 mile an hour winds. This is going to be what they call a life-threatening situation. We have different levels of severe thunderstorm warnings. You just have the regular severe thunderstorm warning. You have the considerable damage, which is when they upgrade the wind speeds to about 70 and the hail size to about 2-inch diameter. And then you have destructive, and that's where we're looking at life-threatening. If you are caught outside without any kind of shelter, that is going to be extremely bad news. This is going to not only damage property, but could also damage a lot of people. And we're looking at wind-driven hail. That's the worst kind. And that's what causes the most amount of damages that we see across the area. That's going to be, well, hey, you got baseball in the form of ice, but now it's flying at 70 miles an hour. So we get a lot of those windows breaking out. And unfortunately, a lot of our cameras are actually losing what we're seeing in Big Spring. We actually lost our Skycam in Big Spring from that storm. But we are actually getting a little bit of stuff from our TxDOT cameras. Let's go ahead and pull up that TxDOT camera. Looking around IH20 and looks like 3 50. It's hard to really see what the text on there says. But live look, it looks to be right off the interstate. You see one of the access roads right there. The main interstate is just on the left side of your screen, seeing the big trucks driving by. Yeah, this looks kind of like a Jack and Jill situation. You have very bright, kind of heavenly lights off to the right side of the screen, and then you have very dark, ominous clouds sitting right on the left side. So I would suggest if you guys are in Big Spring, now Big Spring is not included in this warning just yet, but of course it is moving in that direction. So if you are out in Big Spring, I recommend taking cover inside, making sure that you guys are staying safe throughout the entire time as well. We actually have one of our photographers out there, and he's actually sending me some pictures and videos. Looks very dark, very ominous too. So just make sure that if you can, go ahead and either go away from the city by either moving north along Highway 87 or heading out to the east, or just taking shelter in place. Make sure you are away from those windows because some of these storms can be pretty bad. Let's jump back to the radar now. I'm looking at the largest part of that hail core, going to be just south of Lenora. I'll go ahead and actually draw it out for you on here. That's going to be this little part of the storm right here. Just that perfect little purple dot. Doesn't look like a whole lot, just seems kind of unassuming at first. The radar reading on that is showing about 10 inches an hour falling within that purple dot. So very, very heavy rainfall coming in from that as well. All right, but just to the south of this entire storm, we're looking at another one out near Garden City. Also a very strong, severe warning storm. And that's going to be about it. We're still looking at a much smaller region. The cities affected are going to be Forsan, severe thunderstorm warning until 6:45. It says Central Time, Central Standard Time. We're in daylight time, so 7:45. Don't know why the graphics do that sometimes. About 200 people affected by this. Radar indicated 60-mile-an-hour winds, and I'm looking at half-dollar sized hail, so about 1.25 inch in diameter. So enough that, yeah, you might start to notice a little bit of damage on vehicles as well as personal property, maybe even yourself too. You can easily get bruised from hail that size, so make sure that you guys are staying indoors. Hail damage is expected, wind damage expected to roofs, sidings, and trees as well. All right, so we got those two storms. They're not the prettiest looking, that's for certain. And of course, we're going to continue to keep an eye on it. Luckily, these storms are a little bit easier to read versus the ones right on top of Midland yesterday, because the radar, well, it can't read storms right above it. It can read storms at a distance. So Big Spring, you guys are kind of in the perfect area to see, hey, look, there's a storm coming in. And also, we can get a decent radar reading on it too, so we can kind of give you, at least try to give you a more advanced warning. But I also don't issue out the warnings, so there's that. Here we go. Let's kind of go into that severe risk for today. The main risk is going to be hail over anything else. Let me go ahead and actually pull this up. So we're under that level 2 risk, and, well, that's not going to be changing anytime soon. But let's talk about that tornado risk. Okay, there's nothing there. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, we're not going to see any kind of tornadic activity. As a matter of fact, that storm just to the north of Stanton, we got about 2 reports of land spouts. Now, land spout is not a tornado. It has tornado-like features and some strong winds, but it's not going to cause significant damage. Maybe kind of like a downgrade between a tornado, but an upgrade of a dust devil. So certainly enough that if you see it, I wouldn't go walking right up to it and try and shake its hand. No, no, no. I would rather you guys just stay indoors, maybe watch from a distance if you really want to, but even then, I don't suggest it. Just stay inside. There's a lot of hail within this storm as well. That tornado risk, there's nothing there. What about the wind risk? Wind, yeah, we're kind of scarred from the wind yesterday. I don't blame you. 15% chance you're going to see wind with wind gusts about 60 miles an hour or more. Okay, not too far off there. And then the hail threat's going to be a little bit more localized, specifically just for the Permian Basin, maybe to the north of the Stockton Plateau. That's going to be for about 15% chance that you could see hail over an inch in diameter, about an inch in diameter, but the black dash means significantly severe, which tells me we could see hail about the size of 2 inches or bigger, so a little bit bigger than a golf ball, maybe not just tennis ball size. So wide variety of storms going on here throughout the rest of the day and into the evening. I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead the graphics for tonight and tomorrow. I want to see the latest from the IBM model in terms of tracking for some of these severe storms. So it's showing that a lot of this stuff is not really popping up right now, but it does show this activity was originally anticipated to be in Upton County, or I'm sorry, southern Midland County, maybe even moving into Upton County. But instead, it started off right around Big Spring. So models kind of got it there. Kind of. I got to give them some credit. I mean, I can't make these models. Showing a little bit of activity, rapidly intensifying over Big Lake, kind of staying south of Big Spring. But then we see that squall line coming in right around 11 o'clock from activity up in New Mexico. That's going to be associated with that cold front itself that's passing through, and it's going to be bringing in some heavy rain and some potential severe weather to much of the I-20 corridor, Odessa, Midland, Big Spring, even extending out just to the far edge of Pecos. We'll be keeping an eye on that, because this is expected to last till about 2 a.m. before it begins to really kind of fizzle out and move out of our area right around 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. Playing along just a little bit more as we push out in toward about Tuesday night, afternoon and evening. All right, a little bit of activity out near Guadalupe Pass, El Paso. It moves its way into our westernmost counties, sticks around in those higher elevations, possibly moving into Loving and Winkler County, north of the Stockton Plateau, southern Ector County, and then it just kind of fizzles out. So could we see some stuff for Midland, Odessa, Big Spring? There's always the chance, but what's the likelihood we actually see that come true? That's what makes this quite hard. Nonetheless, as we push our way into Wednesday morning, a lot more calm conditions, maybe Alpine, a quick little thunderstorm, Ozona as well, fizzles out by around noon. Any chances for more of those afternoon storms on Wednesday? Not so much. I got much lower chances going into Wednesday as well. Latest from the National Weather Service on some of these storms. Here we go. Let's go ahead and pop this in. Severe thunderstorm watch. I got golf ball hail for the storm in Garden City and 60-mile-an-hour winds. Latest update from the National Weather Service. This will include Forsan and Garden City in the warning. Still going to maintain its strength until about 7:45, assuming that they don't put out an update on it. All right, let's look at that severe risk heading into tomorrow, because tomorrow's severe risk, it's still going to be that level 2 risk, but I'm looking at the wind and the hail threat first off, similar to today. But there's also that small tornado threat. Yeah, let me go ahead and show it to you. So here's that tornado threat for tomorrow. It's just going to be that 2% risk, but it extends all the way from south of Carlsbad, so southern Eddy County, all the way down toward Del Rio. As we go into the wind risk is going to be actually very minimal, only that level 1, 5% chance for some of those strong winds. And then we got that hail threat into Tuesday, mainly going to be out to our westernmost areas, but this does include places like Kermit, Wink, Pecos, maybe even Monahans as well. They're going to be included in that 15% with the significantly severe hail hash. All right, once we get past all of this, we're going to be actually doing pretty good, because our rain chances are going to be relatively small once we get past tomorrow. We're going to be down to about 30 to about 20%. Temperatures going slowly back up. Once they go back up, it's going to become harder for these storms to develop as long as it maintains that very dry heat.